When you agree with the world's definitions, you are in the process of destroying yourself. I've rarely, for example, encountered a black person, unless he or she was very, very ill, mentally ill, who really hated white people. Now, the reason for that is that, as far as I can tell, and I am, as you point out, 60, as far as I can tell from the time I've been here, when white people in the generality, white with a capital W, look at a black person, they see something that they are inventing. They have never seen, in my 60 years on earth, they've never seen my mother, or my father, or my brothers, or my sisters, or my nieces, or my nephews. They've never seen me. They see something they have invented. All right, one says to oneself, one survives that, that's what you see and I'm something else. But if I walk into your nightmare and react to what you see, I become what you say I am. And then you've won. Or in any case, I've lost. Do you see what I mean?
I do.
When you move out of the relative obscurity of Harlem, and it's relative, because Harlem is a very vivid place.
Mm-hmm.
When you move out of the relative safety of your community and battle what we call the white world, you are in very great danger, because the essential attitude toward, when I was young, a black rider was not, it was essentially, it was akin to Dr. Johnson's idea of a dancing dog. It was not that the dog danced so well that he could manage to do it at all. And that was very much the attitude toward, concerning a black person who wanted to become a writer, or tried to become a writer, who became a writer. And that connects, since you've not yet stopped me, with what I think is part of the crisis of this age, which is, I think that in this country, and in my country certainly, and in the Western world, something very serious is happening, which involves a crisis of identity.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be the most fortunate thing in the world to be, again, to use the word white with a capital W, to be born with the unconscious assumption that you are the center of the universe, the raison d'etre, that
yes.
everything in one way or another reflects and relates to you as a center, and all other people. White people go around, it seems to me, with a very carefully suppressed terror of black people, a tremendous uneasiness. They don't know what the blackface hides. And they're sure it's hiding something. What it's hiding is American history. What it's hiding is what white people know they have done and are doing. It's what white people know very well. One thing, and it's the only thing they have to know. If they know this, everything else I say is a lie. They know they would not like to be black here. They know that. Now they know that, and they're telling me lies. They're telling me and my children nothing but lies.
For Baldwin, the truth is that the ghettos of his youth remain, gnawing at the spirit of those who live there.
The poverty is piled high, making it even more inescapable, and making it even more inescapable how thoroughly you're despised. The high-rise slum becomes a high-crime area almost at once, because what are you going to do with all these children, really, whole families condemned forever to nothing in the richest city in the world? My best friend, a black boy, jumped off the George Washington Bridge when he was 24 and I was 22. And I was sure that I was going to be next.
Just from despair, or?
From despair, from rage, because you can get to a place, where you're in battle so often that that's all you can do. You've been beaten so hard. All you can do is your world narrows to a kind of red circle of rage, and you begin to hate everybody, which means you hate yourself. And when that happens, it's over for you.
Baldwin has taken that despair and rage and turned it into novels, theater, and essays, characters drawn from his family and friends. This fall, Dial Press is publishing his 19th book, a novel called Just Above My Head, the story of a black gospel singer during the civil rights struggle. church is a theme running through much of Baldwin's work. His father was a minister, and Baldwin himself became a preacher at the age of 13. His play, The Amen Corner, shown in revival at Lincoln Center's Black Theater Festival, was drawn from his own experiences in the pulpit. For many growing up in poverty, the church is the only consolation. When Baldwin left the church, he wanted to do more than to console. Often, Baldwin speaks to youngsters who grew up as he did, letting them know the future holds a place for them. On this day, he spoke at the Police Athletic League in Harlem.
A writer might be a dancer, might be a carpenter, might be an architect, might be a junkie, might be any number of things.
I think there's still a chance for today's black writer.
There never was a chance for a black writer. Come, what's your name? Jeffrey. Listen, a writer, black or white, doesn't have much of a chance, right? Nobody wants a writer until he's dead. But to answer your real question, there's a greater chance for the black writer today than there ever has been.
The children asked him the same question I wanted answered. Why did he move to Paris?
Paris is very important to me because I was able to, I was able to take a deep breath, and I was able, this may sound a very corny way to put it, but I wanted to find out where being black ended, where I began, or vice versa. I mean, that some things had happened to me because I was Jimmy, and some things had happened to me because I was black. And I wanted to find out how to get these things together, because I didn't want to spend the rest of my life going around saying, you treat me that way because I'm black.
After attaining worldwide acclaim as a black writer, Baldwin wrote Giovanni's Room, an explicitly homosexual love story. His publishers in New York refused to print it for fear of alienating his newly acquired white, middle-class audience. Baldwin was furious and took the book to England for publication.
You published Giovanni's Room very early on in your...
I finished the book in 55.
And
56.
that, to deal with homosexuality was
Yes.
difficult, and you already were dealing with,
Yeah.
black writer.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to do that?
Well, one can say almost that I didn't have an awful lot of choice. It was something, Giovanni's Room comes out of something which tormented and frightened me, the question of my own sexuality. I used to know when I was younger, a great many men, boys, who were so terrified that they might have a homosexual and, they might be bisexual, or they might, want to go to bed with a man, and you might be able to fall in love with a man. And they were so frightened of that they could never fall in love with anybody else, They were so frightened of men they couldn't touch women. Giovanni's Room comes somewhere out of that.
Did you also feel that you wanted to get it on the record, your own homosexuality, early?
I don't know if that, I don't know if I wanted to get it on the record, but I wanted to confront it. I'm very glad that, that was done, because it also simplified my life in another way, because it meant that I had no secrets. Nobody could blackmail me. You didn't tell me, I told you.
James Baldwin is one of those lucky people who's never been unsure of his family's love. The oldest of 9 children, he was helped financially by the others during his struggling years in France. Now he's in the States more than in Europe, and with his family more often than not. With the success of his books, he was able to buy a Manhattan apartment building where his mother and several family members live now. Mrs. Baldwin's apartment is a center of activity for the whole family.
Did you think he was going to be as big a success and as important?
No, I didn't think that. But I knew that he had to write.
Barbara!
Brothers and sisters and friends of the family were there. Nieces and nephews underfoot.
How's everybody?
He still can't upstage me now.
Conversation ran the gamut of subjects, but Baldwin's mood turned when we spoke of the American attitude toward blacks.
It's a price this republic exacts. Any black man or woman walking. And that is a crime. I paid for that crime in my life. And I don't believe my countrymen anymore. They will not do to him what they failed to do to me. I was 7 years old 47 years ago, and nothing has changed since then. Look. I don't mean it to you personally. I don't even know you. I got nothing against you. I don't know you personally, but I know you historically. You can't have it both ways. You can't swear to the freedom of all mankind and put me in chains.
It sounds as if you believe that slavery put a curse on us somehow.
Well, it is a curse, The American sense of reality is dictated by what Americans are trying to avoid. And if you're trying to avoid reality, how can you face it? If you don't know what is going on in the ghettos of this nation, in the hearts and minds of women and men you see every day, you don't, first of all, in that case, you don't really know what's going on in your own heart and mind. And you have no way of knowing what's going on in the hearts and minds of millions of people on this globe.
You have told people, this nation in particular, a lot of what they don't want to hear.
Yeah, I have. I've tried. You never know. But I tried, yes, to, the song says, wake the children sleeping. I'm supposed to be a disturber of the peace.
Still preaching, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I know this. Anyone who's ever tried to live knows this. So what you say about somebody else, anybody else, reveals you. What I think of you as being is dictated by my own necessities, my own psychology, my own fears and desires. I'm not describing you when I talk about you. I'm describing me. Now here in this country we've got something called a nigger. It doesn't in such terms, I beg you to remark, exist in any other country in the world. We have invented the nigger. I didn't invent him. White people invented him. I've always known, I had to know by the time I was 17 years old, what you were describing was not me, and what you were afraid of was not me. It had to be something else. You had invented it, so it had to be something you were afraid of, and you invested me with. Now, if that's so, no matter what you've done to me, I can say to you this, and I mean it. I know you can't do any more, and I've got nothing to lose. And I know, and I've always known, and really always, that's part of the agony. I've always known that I'm not a nigger. But if I am not the nigger, and if it's true that your invention reveals you, then who is the nigger? I am not the victim here. I know one thing from another. And I know I'm going to born and I'm going to be, I was born, I'm going to suffer, and I'm going to die. So the only way you get through life is to know the worst things about it. I know that a person is more important than anything else. Anything else. I learned this because I've had to learn it. But you still think, I gather, that the Negro is necessary. Well, he's unnecessary to me, so he must be necessary to you. I'll give you your problem back. You're the nigger, baby, he isn't me.
Take This Hammer, filmed with James Baldwin in the spring of 1963, was produced for National Educational Television by the KQED Film Unit, San Francisco. This is NET, National Educational Television.
I don't know what most white people in this country feel, but I can only include what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. I know, as Malcolm X once put it, that the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday. That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means I can't afford to trust most white Christians and certainly cannot trust the Christian church. I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their unions. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks they give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.